Hello boys and girls and welcome to the 40th episode of Banter Blitz. I believe I've actually done way more than 40, but we've moved it to YouTube a while back, which is where these things are now streamed live. And according to my YouTube count, it's episode number 40. But of course, before you get any false ideas, I haven't prepared a single thing for this very, very special occasion. I just listened to one of the podcasts I'm listening to, Comedy Bang Bang, and reached episode number 700, so there's a long way to go. Maybe we'll do something for number 50. Probably not though, let's face it. Anyway, this is Banter Blitz with me, Jan Gustafsson. I'm your host and I'm intending to crush you all in 3-minute or 5-minute games, so challenge me and we shall see how it goes. I'm still playing my test game against Claudia here. I guess I should resign against Claudia. Whoa, why does that look weird? That looks really bad. That might be bad news. Okay. As usual, everyone's favorite part of the show, me trying to fix stuff live. Let's see how it looks now. Okay. The good thing is we spend zero time on post-production of these things, so all of this stuff is staying in. Let's see how it looks now. Boom, there we go. This is my game against Claudia. I'm gonna resign now with a very heavy heart, increasing Claudia's hefty score against me, because I always have to resign in these test games, and I'll accept challenges. Let's see what we have. Let's start with a toughie. Normally I like to ease into these things, because of course I am always intending to crush you all, even though some people say less crushing, more explaining. Nah, I want to crush all of you, but always winning number 15, 2575 from the Netherlands. After all these jokes I made about Holland in the Euros, I believe they are holding quite a grudge against me over there. And who can blame them? Because Holland isn't in the Euros. And I've pretended to not know that for a while. Good old King's Indian. I've decided carelessly to go for the main line with castles. Normally I play 7 bishop e3. But once in a while, why not play the main lines? See what happens. And always winning 15 seems to be booked up to the eyeballs here. Goes for one of the very critical lines with knight h5 followed by knight f4. I'm not as booked up as I would like to be here. I've seen this before, bishop c3, fe4, and now there was a choice between bishop f1 and bishop to g4. But I honestly do not know what the details are or what the status quo of theory is here. It's a weird position. You get this pawn back and he's blitzing all his moves out, which annoys me already. And the question is if this pawn on e6 is a strength or a weakness. I am not sure. And I have to think, which, I keep saying that I don't like to think. Of course, that is straight out lie. I love thinking. I don't know what to do though, so I'll try to increase the scope of my bishop, go g3, maybe put it on g2, fish for some weaknesses. On the queen side, he can't go c6 currently because d6 would be hanging. Rook b8 is not a move you necessarily want to play. He does it, but I'm not sure he really wanted to do that. So, before I lose on time, I should do something. I'm not sure, this might be very anti-positional. I have a feeling it could be a good idea to stop the knight from ever going to c6 and maybe fix some things on the queen side. But of course I lose some dynamic options like playing c5, which was certainly a move as well. So not quite sure what is going on. Let me take a second. I can't take the second now. I don't have the chat thingy opened, which I would like to have, but it's gonna have to wait. a4 might be dumb though. Let's play greedier. Queen a4. I want to grab your pawn, sir. I have to take a bit of care that my king does not end up in any hot water here, but rook f2 seems like pretty lone soldier. So I might be able to get away with rook f2, queen a7. Rook e8, what does he want to do? He wants to go knight f5, I'm guessing. Doesn't really bother me though. I'll take and see what happens. as usual, if in doubt, grab pawns. Not sure if this is a smart idea. My thought was if he takes with the rook, then rook takes, knight takes, queen c7, and his formation kind of breaks. With me being a pawn up, well, knight e7, queen c7 is no better. Therefore, he probably has to move the queen, but it doesn't have a good square. Queen f7 fails because of bishop d5. So queen g7 looked forced. And then I have some options. One of them could be bishop c6. And another one could be to just move my rook. Not sure. He goes there. Another option would be to just go queen takes c7. Yeah, probably that is best, right? Let's see how it goes. I'm a little worried. Takes. Oh, I do. So bishop c6, knight e3, bishop e8, queen e7. I couldn't see anything decisive. Rook e4 would be a pity because it blocks my bishop. I'll go with this, but I'm not sure. I don't think I found the best solution here. My point is I want to put this rook on e4 to cover the d4 square, and I didn't want to lock in my own bishop. The problem is now he can't take. After knight takes, I might have to play a rook endgame. Not my favorite hobby. But I can't say anything better, so I'll go for this. Knight d5 is forced, queen g7. And play that rook ending a pawn up, which should be good winning chances, but I'm not convinced it's winning. Well, I do think that I had a pretty winning position earlier. Should be winning though. Rook f5, I have rook e7 followed by rook b7. Then these two passed pawns, I guess, can get the job done. Because his king has to go to the 8th rank. Temporarily, but still a bit of an inconvenience. So, yeah, I'll go with this. Oh, hang on. He does have... Ugh, I'm dumb. Which is a pity if you try to play chess and you have all this dumbness. Rook b7, rook d5, rook b6. He does have rook b1 followed by... But I don't have anything better, I don't think. I missed rook d1, rook d2 check, picking up the a2 pawn. Doesn't do it. That's a surprise. Now I should be winning. Because these two pawns, normally they can advance quite efficiently on their own. b6 followed by a5, rook a7, and so on and so forth. They're hard to stop even with the king being nearby. At least that's my hope. He has to put his king on b8 and hope for the best. Well, with the king on c6, it's going to be hard to control the pawns. Rook c7 followed by b7. This should not change things. These pawns are too fast now, sir. The fat lady has started to sing already. Always winning. Number 15 might not win this one. Can't win them all, as Chess24 will tell him after this game. As usual, I do my pre-victory celebration. I should try not to miss anything, but I can't see any hope but a few spite checks. I'll go to c1 just to not blunder any rooks, rook b1, rook c1, even though that wouldn't change the outcome either. And always winning 15 does indeed resign. So let me try to catch up with all my earlier failures. Open the chat. Because I haven't asked you guys yet if you can see me, hear me. Here we are. I got the chat and I can see myself, can't hear myself. Let's see. Some discussion about a fat lady singing. Welsh International Open. I do not know about that one. All right, I'll try to find another opponent. What are the topics of the day? I guess we're gonna have to talk about football or soccer, as the crazy Americans call it. I'm not really a football guy, and I'm a little like these annoying girls during a World Championship, or to a lesser extent during a European Championship. Normally I would have to ask which is the team in the white jerseys and which is the team in the blue jerseys, but now I've fully studied up on Germany versus France, and I can tell you all about Schweinsteiger's injuries and if he is a good fit or if we should go with Emre Can. All that nonsense. I watched the match yesterday. It was kind of boring, but that's normally my opinion about football. But I'm gonna have to, of course, watch tonight and show my full Germanness by rooting for the team. My favorite player, of course, is Lukas Podolski. Who doesn't love Podolski? He's threatening with retirement after this tournament, but we need Podolski, mainly for entertainment reasons. But I also like the fact that he never passes, but he always he never passes backward. I think I've seen him pass once or twice, but normally he tries to shoot with the only foot he's using from wherever he's at. So you can see I'm a tremendous football expert. And I'm a tremendous expert at crushing MH Roll from Norway. I have decided to play the Caro-Kann for that purpose, and after knight f3, I believe the best move is bishop g4. I've played a lot of a6 in this position, but it's a little too fancy to be good. After h3, most people, the main line is bishop takes f3, but I never understood why you would give up this bishop on move number 4 and expect good things to happen to you, while this bishop h5 invites a sharp line with ed, cd, bishop b5, knight c6, g4, bishop g6, knight e5, rook c8, where, as far as I know, currently black is supposed to be okay, or okay-ish at least. So we'll see how that goes. MH Roll does not pull the trigger, does not go for g4, knight e5, but if white plays more slowly, if black is allowed to develop here with the bishop outside of the pawn chain, I do not see any particular reason to worry. Knight f6, the most natural move. I'll go bishop d6, maybe intending to put this knight to e7, just for further reinforcements for the c6 knight to make his setup with bishop b5 and knight c3 look a little superfluous. Isolated Pawn is asking about the new C24 feature. Not quite sure which one he means. Pawn Pusher can hear me. Volume is too low. So many questions. Pump it up, sir. I believe that is the easiest fix to volume issues. I can speak even louder. By the way, I'm still not sponsored by Chibo, which is a scandal because I buy like 5 of their cappuccini per day. But I am fully caffeinated, which increases the chances of me staying very lively and awake throughout the show, but it also increases the chances of an unscheduled bathroom break. As for the game, I'm trying to increase my chances by locking his bishop into the b3 square, which doesn't look so active. One problem about these positions is I'm always very tempted to blunder an exchange by going queen b6, knight d7. I've done that numerous times. And even though I'm aware of it, it still requires tremendous willpower to not do it this time around. I have a bunch of interesting options. Bishop e5, de, bishop g6 looks pretty decent. Move like queen c7 looks fairly decent as well. I'll go with this one. Problem for white is his pieces are misplaced. He would need this knight on g3 and then go c3, bishop c2, which is not so easy to get in, and f4 is a typical blunder on his part, or at least I think so, because I have this tactic, knight takes d4, and the point is queen d4, bishop c5, picks up the queen, so you can't recapture. Well, he's probably going to leash out with g4, trying to justify what he just did, but then just bishop g6, and I can't really see any danger. We'll see if MH Roll proves me wrong, but for now, it does look like I managed to once again do my favorite thing. I'm grabbing the pawn. I'm currently recording, there he goes, g4, recording a series on endgames with Mark Dvoretsky, which is highly instructive, at least for me. I'm learning a lot of stuff, but it's painful because we're talking about like activity of rooks, and he's trying to teach me, or all of us, once we publish this series, that very often it's worth giving up a pawn in order to activate your rook, which really goes against everything I believe in. So it's some painful lessons I have to absorb, and Might be one reason why I'm not really good at endgames. I really don't like giving up pawns. But yeah, it's interesting stuff, and I'm looking forward to us releasing that series. What do I do here? I don't know, this knight annoys me. And if something annoys you in your life and you can get rid of it at no price, well, the price of the bishop on d6, why not just do it? I don't really want to take on b3 because this bishop is doing nothing, but I'm going to have to find a way to break through at some point. He's going to go bishop f4. And it might come with knight b3, followed by putting the other knight to d4 to target c2, something along those lines. Not quite sure yet. Maybe I could have gone b4 instead of knight c6. But my position is, of course, very, very good because of the extra pawn. So, how do I do this? Very undecisive today. It's one of these days. I can see my clock ticking down, but I can't really commit to any move. Knight a5 doesn't look like the most precise way to handle this, and now I am offering the exchange of his dead b3 bishop, even though it does come with a bit of a price tag, because now my pieces are really, really active. I kept his knight on b4, his bishop is good, eyeing c2, b4 might be a threat, and so on and so forth. So I'm in very decent shape here, but I'm not sure if I've extracted the maximum. Then again, and I'm being serious here for a second, Blitz often is not about extracting the maximum and letting your time run out, but about making decisions quickly, making reasonable moves quickly. And very often you have to be a pragmatist and you can't like search for the very best move in the position. The best Blitz players I know, they have this very often the steady rhythm, just make a move every 2-3 seconds. Pick up a queen if it comes your way, that kind of stuff. And yeah, he did miss this threat I had, this Doppelschach, double check with knight e2 check, and therefore mh roll does resign. Checking in with the chat again. Volume is too low still, or is that the same guy who keeps saying it? I don't know. Pump it up. Does Jan read the chat? Occasionally. I have lots of thoughts on NBA free agency. I follow that stuff religiously. I think we talked about it in the last show. I'm happy with Durant going to the Warriors, which is a little inconsistent because I became a LeBron hater after he went to Miami, and you could argue that it's a similar kind of move. But I really just want to see the Warriors dominate. It's going to be a very exciting season, even if they are an overwhelming favorite to win the title now. As for the weight thing, yeah. Tricky discussion if there's this loyalty tax, if he should have gotten this Kobe deal. I believe secretly Miami is kind of happy to let him go so they can plan more easily. But of course he is a legend. I don't understand what the Bulls are doing, I really do not. There seems to be zero fit there in the backcourt with Butler, Wade and Rondo. None of these guys can shoot threes, so I don't understand what they're doing. But I believe I should stop nerding out about basketball because I know how much I hate it when Peter Svidler starts talking about cricket in our live commentaries. So I will spare the 90% of you that don't care about basketball from now on. Maybe. The Dark Horde here goes for e3, knight f3, b3, which is very playable. Like c5 is of course a decent move. But I prefer going for some sort of reverse Torre. With bishop g4, e6. These systems, they are very fine if you play them with black, but they're not all that aggressive looking from a white point of view. Sometimes guys like to spice them up and go h3, g4, stuff like that here. But the Dark Horde decides to play it closer to the west with short castles when we have a pretty normal position. White can decide c4 is the most flexible move. What he wants to do with his pawns, d3 followed by knight bd2, is quite reasonable as well. I'll just get my pieces out. And as I said, yeah, these things are kind of equal with a board full of pieces, so it's a decent outcome of the opening for black. But white is not worse. You can play like that. It's not terribly ambitious. c4 is still the move I would go for, and the most normal setup is rook e8. The problem after c4, queen e7 looks very logical, but then sometimes it's a little unpleasant if white takes on d5, because then e d5 they go knight d4, eyeing that f5 square, bishop e2, queen e2. Doesn't look dramatic either. But one of the lessons of my childhood was when I played stuff like that with colors reversed regularly, that rook e8 tends to be a more flexible move than queen e7 here. I'm not sure if that is me dropping knowledge or just childhood impressions that are have long proven to be untrue. That's a bit strong. Anyway, you can see I can't finish my own sentence, and I'm not quite sure what I'm saying here, but it's a very, very slowish type of position, and he doesn't go cd5 or anything. He's daring me to play e5 or a4, which is also a pretty typical idea here. Another way to equalize in these positions is to just play bishop to a3. Actually, that might be objectively the best move. It's a little dull though. Now I'll spice it up a bit and go e5. I don't think this is the best move between you and me. I believe that, yeah, bishop a3 is objectively easiest, just getting rid of this bishop. Because now, yeah, he does have something to work with the c file. He goes e4, which I'm not sure about. I think I'll lock the position, go d4. As pros and cons, it does give him the c4 square for his knight, but it also locks up this bishop, grabs some space. It's always important to double check before going d4 that there's no knight takes d4 trick, but here my bishop on g4 is protected. So knight d4, e d4 is not a problem. Knight c4. Guess I'll start by pinning him. Not sure which rook to use. I'll take this one. a4, good move actually, because I was planning to go b5. Maybe I should have done it immediately, but I did not. Okay, this knight on c7 isn't doing much. I'd like to bring it to e6 or g6, and that's what I shall do. Queen d2 runs into bishop b4, so there's no immediate way to grab the exchange. I would play queen b1, after which I was planning to play bishop b4, but then okay, it's too late. I was getting a little concerned about an exchange sacrifice with knight takes e5 in that position. Now after knight d2, it's tricky, because normally I would like to keep these bishops on the board, since this is his bad bishop, but I also only have the e6 square for one of my pieces, so I'm not 100% sure if this is the right decision to put the bishop on e6, or if I should have taken followed by knight to e6. Could make a case for both of them. And once again, good timing by the Dark Horde. He goes, oof, I'm playing badly. He goes queen d1, now that I can't go bishop b4 because e5 was on prise. Bishop c7 is not the greatest idea I ever had, because it allows him to activate his bishop with bishop to a3. I still think I'm fine, because his pieces are sort of passive, especially his bishop on b2. But yeah, you could certainly argue that I have not arranged my pieces perfectly over the last couple of moves. King h2, prophylaxis against bishop h3, things which did cross my mind, and I will subtly keep working on them. Knight f4, threatening bishop h3, and I also want to make it harder for him to get in g3, which is normally a useful move in these structures, just controlling the f4 and h4 squares. Knight f1, this is asking for it. I believe the bishop should have gone to f1 just to cover these weaknesses on g2 and h3, because now bishop h3 has become a pretty serious threat. And I'm not quite sure how to parry it, frankly. Maybe bishop f3, when, yeah, now I have to think if bishop h3 is winning, or if it's asking a bit much of the position, but it does look tempting. This was my plan. He can't take because of queen g2 checkmate, and he can't move the knight because of queen h2 followed by queen f2 checkmate. So I'm not sure I'm threatening anything directly, but given two moves, I'll go rook e6, rook g6, and the mate is imminent. Is that the right word? I keep looking for new expressions for that situation. I never know. Looming, imminent, impending, pending. Around the corner, coming up. I don't know, man. The Dark Horde resigned. He also could not see a defense. Yeah, I don't think there was any against rook g6 or even rook h6, but probably rook g6. Yeah, earlier the positional battle went okay for me, but I believe even in this position, if you go bishop f1, I'm comfortable, but there's nothing obvious, like sacrifices over here have been prevented, and it's not easy at all for me to improve my position. Therefore, yeah, the game would just have continued. Well, after knight f1, it went downhill very quickly. So what's this sound thingy? Still complaints? Says volume range. The usual. No idea. I'll keep crushing. Or I'll keep playing. Oh, another very tough guy whom I've never played. Let's play him. 2600 Christoph Helmer. Oh, it's very confusing when this shows my avatar for a second and then it changes. Christoph Helmer, German guy, I am assuming. Let's hope he's drunk because he's been warming up for the Germany-France game all day long, but it doesn't look like it. All these aggressive King's Indian players. I'll play one line, which you guys are gonna hate me for. It's a line of my childhood, which I've had pretty decent results with. It's not critical. d5 is the line I've played in the last game, but de5 is a very cowardish way to avoid all King's Indian main lines while asking a few questions. It doesn't lead to an advantage objectively, but it's not that easy for black to handle. I believe queen takes d1 followed by bishop g4 should equalize. Our boy Robin van Kampen gave knight d4 in his video series, which probably also equalizes. But it's not as dumb as it looks. Like strategically, it's not great because the d4 square is a long-term weakness, while the d5 square is not. But with the knight on c6, things aren't that easy. And this is, yeah, a playable line. I'm not gonna claim it's great or anything, but it's playable. Queen e8, now he has to alter the structure after knight d5. He has to take cd, knight d4. I've actually had this in tournament games in that troubled childhood of mine, which I was just talking about. This, I do believe, is slightly better for white, because my bishops are a bit more active. It's easier for me to target his c-pawn than for him to target any of my pawns. I can't remember these childhood mishaps. I guess I had a game with f5 takes, followed by rook e1, but I'm not quite sure how that went down. So takes followed by rook e1 looks natural. Rook e1 immediately also looks fairly natural. Should I calculate? Both look fine, honestly. Takes, bishop f5, rook e1, queen f7. And the problem is f2 is hanging then in some lines. Rook e7, queen d5 doesn't look that great. Rook e1 is f4 a problem? Nah, that looks too loose. I'll go with this, but I have a feeling I should have taken it. And I also strongly have a feeling that I've had this position in a tournament game. But the usual memory / haven't analyzed it afterwards issues. Not sure about rook e1. Maybe queen c2 is a good move, keeping f2 covered and keeping an eye on this f7 route. He goes f4, which I had dismissed as too loose, but I still believe that it is too loose. e5 looks kind of logical. Not only do I avoid losing this bishop, because now I can meet h6 with bishop f6, and I'm also inviting bishop e5, which I was hoping I could meet with queen e2 with a lethal pin, even though that thesis might need some refinement. Because bishop takes e5, queen e2, it does seem like there is bishop f5 then. And I can't see any quick way to material gains. However, entering that pin, which is going to be very hard to break even mid-turn, is a scary proposition for black. I should still think about what to do after bishop e5. Queen 2, bishop f5, I can't see a win. Could go bishop h6, but then rook f7. Then queen e2. Not so clear. He does, I don't know if he believes me, or probably he saw something which I didn't see. It goes queen d7, but now my position is just nice. I guess queen b3, he wants to go f3, try to checkmate me. But if I go here and stop that kind of nonsense, then h6, e6, all looks very good. I can't see a win yet, but there has to be something. This position is just too good. Yeah, we're thinking about h6, e6, queen d6. When I have e7 at the very least, there might be something better, but e7 looks good enough. Rook e8, bishop takes f4. While other moves, he can go queen g4. But it's a pretty thankless endgame. It's probably the best black has here. But it's nothing you really enjoy doing. So yeah, this childhood line did serve me well. He goes queen g4, which, yeah, I agree, is the best chance. But it's not nice, is it? Not sure about rook c1, but why not? If h6, I can go bishop e7. And then, yeah, either followed up with rook takes c7 or with d6, depending on what pops up. f3 is no longer a problem. Rook c8 is sensible. Once again, decision time. Many moves look good. e6, d6, bishop e7 anyway. I'll go e6. Who can resist the allure of a protected passed pawn in the middle of the board? Probably many people can. Not me. Thinking face again. h6, bishop e7. Rook e8. Bishop somewhere. Then c6, but I'm in time to take on g6, so that doesn't look great. Maybe bishop f5, when once again I have a choice. e7 comes to mind, but bishop f5, e7, bishop d3 didn't look that tempting. I said bishop somewhere. Where is that somewhere? Here? Yeah, probably. It has some more prospects here than on a3. Bishop h5. Once again, I'm tempted to take a timeout just to block this bishop. Not sure I've played this the most aggressive fashion known to man. Now it seems like there's time to cash in. Hopefully there is. c6 I thought I can just take, and I couldn't see anything bad for me. Well, if this rook moves, bishop f8. But yeah, it's hard to deal with this onslaught, and I think I've overloaded his defenses. And yeah, Christoph Helmer resigns after e7. As mentioned, this line is kind of tricky, and I believe black has to know what he's doing here. Queen d1 followed by bishop g4 or knight d4, in my opinion, are the easiest ways to equalize. d5, knight e5 is fine too. But this stuff in the game turned out to be dangerous. And yeah, I think I got a bit of an initiative there, which he could not really control. Moving on. Let's play another super strong player, because people have been saying Jan is getting even fuller of himself than we're used to with this high rating, so I'll play some strong players to push me off my pedestal because, frankly, I think I'm a little overrated because, of course, I am a tremendous favorite in these games against lower rated guys, which I'll certainly keep playing, but I do get like 1 point for it, which might be a bit of a flaw of online blitz. Therefore, my rating might be a little inflated, even though I'm a pretty good blitz player. Anyway, against St Zer, we have a sort of sideline of the Trompovsky here. Knight d2 followed by e3. Guess I have time to go knight c6. dc5 doesn't look scary. Can always win the pawn back with e6. So I'm expecting him to go c3. When, yeah, there's many options. Queen b6 is probably the most aggressive way to play this. And I think I'll do that, even though I kind of regret it already, because it's closer to my heart to play a structure with cd, ed, and then random move bishop f5. Well, this endgame we got here, I'm not sure what the evaluation is. It's typical to go c4 here. Normally you see these positions with the bishop on f4, not on g5. Not sure how that changes the dynamic. Like, he has ideas with bishop takes and e4 now. I'm hoping they're not that scary. Goes knight h4 immediately. Does not give my poor bishopy a break. Do I want to go to great length to save that bishop? h6 would be no good. Bishop f6. Knight e4 is possible. Knight takes f5, knight takes g5. But my knight looks a little weird on g5. You know what? I'll put this bishop on a very weird square. Is that a good idea? I don't know if that's a good idea. Decisions. Yeah, I like bishops too much, I'll do it. But I might regret this. Rook c1, my bishop has to go to a4, which is not ideal, frankly. Or it doesn't have to go to a4, but clearly, having set bishop c2, I'm not gonna go bishop g6 back. But I'll stick with the plan. Weird position. Not sure what's going on. Of course, the knight no longer has any business on h4, so it returns logically. And I'm not sure if this bishop does anything useful for my cause here. We'll find out. One plan that I could think about is rook a5, rook b5, but you have to be careful not to allow b4 then. Knight e5, my instinct says take and go knight d7. And gotta trust them instincts when playing blitz. f4. His knight gets a very nice square on d4, but my horsey also gets some prospects. So, strange situation. Bishop e2. I'm gonna start a very weird maneuver, which I might regret, I might not. My plan is to go knight to a4 and then follow it up with f6, bishop to g6, and hope for good things for me to happen. But it is very slow, and now he can take and go f5. Yeah, I'm playing maybe a little too subtly here. We'll see how things turn out. My pawn is knight f3 now. I was hoping knight a4 would be kind of unpleasant, even though then he has rook c2. So I might have to start with bishop g6. A lot of plan changing midway here. Not ideal. Strange position. If f5, I'm going to have to go e5. Once again, double-edged. e4, another way to impede my plans. Probably a better way, actually. Kind of missed that. I can go knight takes e4 with a strange ending, where I guess I'm okay, but I'm not sure if I'm better. I could try to keep the structure playing b5, but that's an ugly move. What else can I do? Bishop g6, there's a f5, that's not ideal. I'm not sure about knight e4, not sure I like it. Decision time. Really not sure what to do. If in doubt, play random move and see what happens. I don't like the way this is going. Because yeah, this has really weakened my structure a bit. And while I still have these ideas, now they're gonna be a lot harder to implement with the weakness of the pawn on what's called d5. I have to focus. This knight has to go to d3 to block any danger after rook d1 with knight takes c4 or bishop d5 or whatnot. And I hope things will be alright, but it's very, very double-edged. Yeah, I can't see anything devastating as long as this knight does its job on d3 after, let's say, rook cd1, knight d3. If there's no immediate trickery, I should be okay. And yeah, Gouadash comes to the same conclusion and goes bishop e2 back to stop my knight from arriving there. Not sure if it's worth tempo to provoke f5 or not here. I'll do it, but yeah, who knows if this was necessary. Ugh, I've played badly again. Stop playing badly. Note to self. He's maneuvered much better than me over the last couple of moves. No, I do not like it. And I also have to speed up. But yeah, this knight on d4 really keeps his position together. And I haven't made a lot of progress. There is stuff like knight b5 check I have to worry about. When I probably have to go king c6. He goes back there. That means I have to jump in. See what happens. Rook d2. Nothing to do but put my pieces on hopefully active squares and hope for the best. Expecting bishop f1 when I was planning to go rook e1, but it's still a mess. I don't know what's going on. Ah, here's king f2. Ugh. Yep, things aren't going well, because now he has g3, which is a problem. It starts with this, which is also possible. Yeah, my pieces are a bit all over the place. I have no idea what's happening. I believe I'm slightly worse by now, but I've had to speed up. Maybe I'm still kind of okay, but I'm probably not better. Of course, as usual, I do not want to draw, which might be my downfall. Can I do this? Very double-edgy. Double-edged is the expert term. Rook f3 doesn't win material. It's not a legal move for starters. Okay, I'm gonna have to speed up. I've been too slow. Speed up button pushed. Fortunately, not the play well button. Oh, it looks like I'm gonna lose this game to Gouadash, which would be sad. King d1, and yeah, it's game over. Oh boy, that was bad. And yeah, I can resign here. I won't, but I will in a couple moves. Oh, let's check. That's kind of painful. Do I have any legal moves? Isn't this checkmate? I can't see a legal move. Ah, this is legal. But I'm out of time too, so I'll resign. Good game by Stoffsauger. And yeah, congratulations. I'm not very happy. It was a decent game, I thought, until mutual mistakes, but a normal game until I started going crazy somewhere around here after f5, c4. Yeah, I don't know. Probably the rook ending is still equal, but I've kind of messed up here. Did I have rook e1 check? Maybe I had rook e1. I have a feeling I missed something. Ah yeah, I could have done this, I guess. And this is a good pawn ending for me. Ah yeah, that's a pity, but what to do? Congratulations. And self-inflicted prophecy. My giant rating and my giant ego combined with it are taking a bit of a hit there. Whom do I play next to restore that giant ego? Maybe Vald de Valde. Is that the name? Vald de Valde? Yup, that is him from Denmark. d4, d5. Yeah, let's play it straight. Good old c4, queen's gambit, knight c3. Knight f6. Yeah, this position has been bothering me a great deal from the other side of the board. And I know some of you, like one or two of you, are waiting for the third part of my opening repertoire for Black series, where I really was happy about my plan of going c6, e3, bishop f5. But that line is out of business, and I've been trying for a while now to find an alternative, but I haven't found anything that makes me happy. So it's a bit of a pity, because that series, yeah, has been on hold because of me not being able to fix that. And it's annoying me, but I'll keep you posted on what I come up with. This early bishop e6, I've seen that played here and there. It's not a dumb move. You can go for g5, knight h5 in some lines even. After castles, I was going to say it's tempting to play f4, but f4 is normally bad because of knight g4 here. So once again, I guess I'm going to have to play it straight and go knight f3. After knight b7, yeah, white should be slightly better. I'm not sure how important this bishop on e6 is, but it does look playable. And I'm not sure if there was a way to punish this move, or I haven't seen it in this setup. Rook c8, I'll go h3, I guess. Just wait for what happens. Looks like he wants to play c5. Squabby says, time to play 1500 players again to win back rating. I'm not that obsessed with the rating. Honestly, the point of this show for me and for business is that I'm trying to play as many different premium members as possible to give everybody the chance to play a Grandmaster, but I am also trying to win every game. I've never tried to prefer stronger or weaker opponents, and I know a lot of people would prefer for me to play more strong opponents. But yeah, I keep mentioning this. For me, the main point really is to get a chance to play every premium member or vice versa. And I'll admit it, you can see I'm annoyed. I don't like to lose at all, and that will never go away. I am competitive, as weird as it sounds, because I'm aware that online ratings are not a real thing, and I don't take a lot of pride in online ratings, but I really, really dislike to lose. So I will always take these games seriously. I will try to provide some explanations and hopefully say something funny once in a while, but I'll never just play for show and then roll over or lose on time because I'm trying to commentate things. So losses do bother me, but gotta give credit to Stoffsauger, who really played a good game. Could have gone either way for a long time, and then he just proved faster and stronger in time trouble. So all credit to him. Here we have a very typical minority attack structure, where black is kind of alright. Actually, I'm not sure about my last move, knight a4, because now after knight c5, it looks nice to get this structure after dc or bc, but normally it's very hard to make progress from here. After bc, black would go, let's say, rook e8, put this bishop on c8, cover his only weakness on b7, and have his hand free to do other stuff. Well, dc gives my knight the d4 square, but also locks up the queen side, so it's not all that tempting either. Therefore, I went with queen c5, which should maintain a small edge, but gives him the chance to go knight e4, followed by bishop f5, when, frankly, not much is happening. Also, my speed of play has not really been overwhelming in this game. So I'm gonna have to, once again, speed up a little bit. However, Vald de Valde is catching up on the clock, which is always a good thing. So I can go back to plan B. And plan B really is plan A. Plan B, I believe in chess lingo, is fairly established term for flagging nowadays. Well, I normally don't try to flag from move 1. It is for sure a part of my arsenal. No, that's probably the German term. Toolbox. Now I've managed to achieve what you try to achieve with this minority attack. You go b5 and you create some sort of weakness in your opponent's queen side. In this case, it's either going to be a weak pawn on c6 or on b7. He did have this knight, the strong knight on c4 as compensation, but I will try to convert that into an extra pawn for me. Best move seems to be c5 to me to get rid of this weakness, knight c4, cd4. Well, this stuff now I should be able to stabilize and enjoy my extra pawn. Of course, we are low on time, and Vald de Valde has sped up over the last couple moves. Is it sped? Speeded? I don't know. He's started playing faster. I've started to blunder. Ooh. What am I doing? Steaming here. I hope this works, but not 100% obvious, and it took me a second to find some tactics to stay in the game there. Getting crushed here by Vald de Valde. Am I going to lose back-to-back? No, that was a big mistake. Hey. That broke his spirit, because instead of queen b1, queen c2 would have meant back-to-back losses for me, actually. It's checkmate. Yeah, next move. I think next move is fairly accurate. So I survived that steaming game after the loss before, but excellent game by Vald de Valde. Once again, I forgot about the clock a little bit with all my expert minority attack explanations. It should have backfired. Okay, let's have a deep sip of coffee out of this empty thingy. No, there's still a bit of coffee in there. Calm down. Get back to crushing. Speaking of crushing, I of course do hope that Germany crushes France tonight. And yeah, I feel like a hypocrite, like talking serious football stuff, because I don't really have a clue and I don't really care that much. It does look like Germany got the toughest draw, right? Playing Italy and now France at home. But on German TV I learned last night that Germany is pretty good when facing the host nation in semi-finals. They've won lots of those. So I'm mildly optimistic. And I'm also mildly optimistic about the next game, where I'm gonna face Pawn Pusher. I've never played Pawn Pusher. Let's see what Pawn Pusher is up to. Isn't Pawn Pusher regular in the chat? How come I never played him? Maybe he's not. So many pawn handles. I have learned that one should not push one's pawns lightly because they never move back. I've also been discussing that with Mr. Dvoretsky in a recent show because he gave some Russian quote, which I didn't understand. Well, not Russian, but translated. I can't even reproduce it. Like something about, if in doubt, move your checkers. I believe, yeah, the checkers pieces, which we are trying to figure out. It's the same word like pawns in Russian. What are checkers pieces called? Do you guys know? As for the game, I've played a line which I play a lot, a sort of fake Nimzo Indian, where this pawn has not gone to d4 yet, but it's staying on d2, which gives white's position a little extra flexibility. In many a line, you can put the pawn on d3 to control the d4, the e4 square, and then try to build an advantage because of the two bishops. This brings back good memories because I believe I've had this very position in a tournament game against Alexander Khalivman at a time when Khalivman was the reigning FIDE world champion, and I managed to win that game. That was my... Was he 2700 at the time? I'm not sure, but that was my first and probably last victory over a reigning world champion and over a 2700 player. So I was happy with that. Not my only victory against the 2700, but it, yeah, was a nice game, or a big game for me back then. The structure is quite typical. White closes the queenside, but is trying to generate a nibble here by going a5 and then either opening the a file for the rooks or sometimes fixing this pawn on a7 by going a6. Well, for black it's not so easy to get anything done. You want to get in e5 and d4, but I will try not to allow that. It's hard to do all that much because of the relentless pressure on this long diagonal. This knight can't really move. And if he goes rook e8, which I believe he should, I will probably go knight e5 to stop him from going e5 and enjoy a slight advantage because of all my bishops. There we go, rook e8 played. Good move by pawn pusher, who's not a pushover, who would have thought? But I am stopping him from pushing his e-pawn, followed by pushing his d-pawn. Best I can see is queen f8, intending to go knight to d7, but it's not a very pretty sight. Queen f8, I'll probably go a5, keep chipping away. Queen c7 is of course a legal move, but these endgames should be fairly pleasant for me. I could have taken on f6, but there's really no reason to give up this beautiful bishop. He's gonna go knight d7. I'll play bishop somewhere, probably bishop c3. When e5 comes with a set of problems, or not really problems, but I'm keeping my small edge here because after e5 I can take, for example, bishop takes and then something. Rook a8, that's kind of asking me to go a6. I can't resist. It's not the typical move, but I believe his pieces are sort of uncoordinated for a second here, and I can exploit that by going bishop f3. He had to go bishop c8. Bishop f3 is targeting this pawn, which I will gladly eat, so it can't be pushed anymore. Pawn up. I'm gonna refrain from saying a pawn is a pawn. Technically, I did just say it. I'm gonna need some new catchphrases. It's so hard to change your ways once you've reached my advanced age. To come up with anything new. Like, I'm not interested in learning new things, making new friends. I just want to sit at home and watch basketball. Maybe too real, maybe too much truth in that sentence. Anyway, as for the position, I'm in pretty good shape because this a7 pawn is also big target. And I'm tempted to just cover this guy with rook b1, but I have a feeling I can pose more problems by going rook c1, rook c7. Just having a brief think here if there's any defense for pawn pusher against that, but I don't really think so. Knight d3 does nothing to stop me from reaching my not final destination yet. I hope a7 is the final destination. Oh yeah, now it's game over. Knight b4. I'll just take. This is the end. Should try not to blunder a back rank mate, but normally I'm decent with not blundering back rank mates. And pawn pusher resigns. Yeah, that's a tough position to play for black in my opinion. Whom do we play next? What about Mr. Dark Moon? Where's Dark Moon from? He's from Germany? What is Dark Moon? Dark Side of the Moon? Isn't that some album? What is that? Pink Floyd? I'm horribly uneducated when it comes to music, so I'm gonna have to Google it. Dark Side of the Moon. I only know this movie where what's it called? This Finnish movie about Nazis living on the other side of the moon. I forgot what it's called. Dark Side of the Moon. Ah, it is Pink Floyd. Oh, who knew? I did know. That's what I'm surprised about. Facepalm Chess is talking about me soon going through my midlife crisis. Come on, this whole show is a midlife crisis. With me, at my very advanced age, trying to act young and hip and well-informed on pop culture, while I cry myself to sleep. Not even every night, like every break I get, I'm just in the office, in the studio, crying and trying to sleep. Nah, that's a lie and it wasn't funny. See, midlife crisis, trying too hard. Anyway, I am not too old for the complications of the Maran, which Dark Moon is embarking. We're entering one of the main lines. A6 has fallen a bit out of favor. Nowadays people prefer bishop b7 or bishop d6. But this extremely sharp line was trendy in the World Championship match between the gentlemen Anand and Kramnik. Anand did not go knight takes e5, but tried to revitalize the old line with a takes b5 immediately, which gave him two very nice victories. So let's see what Dark Moon has in store in this older line. All of this used to be considered fine for black. Then I believe the public opinion changed that these positions are dangerous for black after knight takes f8, followed by a4 or even b3. And I'm not sure what the current verdict is. Last time I checked, it's supposed to be very tricky to play with black, but it's also tricky to play with white. Good news is this king will end up in the center, no matter what. And yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I believe I'm supposed to sacrifice this pawn with a4. I hate sacrificing pawns, obviously, but I do love theory. So if theory recommends sacrificing a pawn, that's always a conflict for me. Like, go with theory, go with what I consider the best move, or go with my instincts and keep my pawns alive. Life is tough. I'm not sure black is supposed to take here. I vaguely recall queen d3, bishop b4 check is probably a bad idea. So maybe that was with rook takes f8, stuff like queen d3 or queen d5. We'll see how it goes. If he takes, I'm just gonna castle and say, you know what? Your king is in the center, not my problem. Queen d5 looks more active and central. Still, the same story. The question is how I'm gonna proceed. I don't have that many active plans, apart from pushing my passed pawns here. I have to think. For black, I'm not sure if he has the time to go h6, king g8, king h7, which would of course be something that you really want to do. And yeah, I'm gonna have to think how I wanna spend that time should he embark on that maneuver. h6, a5, king g8, a6 looks good. h5, similar story. Should I go h4 or not? I'm feeling I should go h4, just to stop him from going h4 when this rook could enter the game via the 5th rank. Has some drawbacks, the pawn could be a target, but it looks like it's worth it. Strange position. I've never actually played this line. I studied it a while ago, and I thought it was better for white, but I never got it on the board. This was my plan after king h7, to stop him from going knight e4, because now I have queen h5 check. Well, if he takes on a5, these positions tend to be very, very unpleasant. Rook a5, queen a5, bishop f6, followed by queen d4 or queen d4 immediately. I'm hoping that that's very hard to play for black, because I have this passed pawn and I have the better king. So it shouldn't be fun, but it's probably... I'm not sure if it's the best choice. It goes rook fp8, which looks natural too. What do I want to do? Not sure what I want to do. Queen d3 check, queen e4, I'm guessing. Not ideal. I'll go here, see what happens. Because e5, well, I'm greedy. I'm gonna take this guy. Was planning to take this guy. Now maybe this rook can find some useful work along the 3rd rank. It's headed towards g3. I haven't actually calculated if rook b2 is losing. I was hoping it would be, but maybe it's possible. Rook g3, king f8, and nothing seems to win directly, even though of course it does look very scary. Isn't there a win? I'd like to have a win there. Would that not be nice? You can go d3, just try to stop my rook from entering the action. And then I'm going to have to find some creative way to break these pawns down before they come too close. He does take. Yeah, as mentioned, I couldn't say direct win. So if in doubt, activate some more pieces. I'll go with rook c1, trying to break his defenses with a potential rook c7. Maybe there was something better, but I couldn't see it. Exciting position. Rook d8. Now rook c7 looks good, right? What does he want? He wants rook d7, but something has to give there. This is mate in 1. Mate in 1s I am very, very good at. Sorry, Dark Moon. I believe he was lost anyway, but here I would have to work a little bit harder. But there should be some direct win here. Queen h8, king e7, rook c8 maybe. It looks winning. I'm not 100% sure this is the way or that I would have found a good way. But yeah, interesting position, interesting line chosen by Dark Moon, which I believe is considered to be dangerous. But I could be out of touch there. I don't think I am. I'll play Mr. 000 versus 000, whom my records show I've also never played. I have a feeling I've played him. Maybe I took his challenge and he wasn't there. I have to take notes on that. What are we having, the tattoo discussion? As you guys surely know, I've done tremendous research on tattoos. Like 67% of NBA players have tattoos. The number might be higher. I think my number is a little old. And 0% of top 100 chess players have tattoos. At least according to my records. And I still haven't found any top 100 chess player with a tattoo. So the question is, of course, why? It could be because of chess players calculating, planning nature, that they think, the tattoo might not be looking like such a good idea in 30 years, and it's going to be really hard to get rid of. Or it could be that chess players are not the most trendy people in the world, or not the most fashion conscious. Well, often you see very like fashion-y guys sporting tattoos, like David Beckham and this kind of people. They have all kinds of tattoos. Can't finish my train of thought because knight a3 got me out of it. I know this position, but I can never remember. I believe there was this line with e5, which is not very good, but interesting. And there were normal moves like rook a5, which are supposed to be correct. But I'll go with e5 just for giggles. Can't remember what was wrong with it, but there was some problem with this move. The point is, if he goes d5, I want to go bishop a3, break up his pawn structure, and ba3, knight e4. And feast on these weak pawns. Really can't remember what was wrong. Knight b5 maybe? Ah yeah, I think it was knight b5. And then some weird lines, which I can't recall. Rook a5, knight c7, king d8, something like that. Looks familiar. d5, knight somewhere. Some chaos. d5 I believe is just fine for black, because now I can go bishop a3. He doesn't have time for ef. Because of bishop b2, bishop c3, and ba, I'll go knight e4, and these pawns really are very serious weaknesses. I'd have to look it up. I have a feeling knight b5 and some strange piece sacrifice was a problem. Yeah, Peter does have an earring, which is probably as close as you can get to the tattoo thing in the chess world. I don't think Hikaru has a real tattoo. Any more suggestions? Eric Hansen? Not sure, but he's also not in the top 100. Neither am I, but my research has been limited to the top 100. I don't think Niels Grandelius has a tattoo. He's had a Rasta face, but he doesn't strike me as a tattoo guy. So the position, yeah, this is just unpleasant for white. d5 is not the way to punish my e5 extravaganza. Knight b5 has to be the way to go. Because here his pawns are just way weaker than mine, and there's a big chance that the whole queen side is gonna fall. Rook a3, knight c3, Very hard to keep everything covered there. Yeah, that's all there is. Knight e4. I don't think Miss Tactics and Miss Strategy have tattoos either. Nah, I'd be very surprised. But you never know. Is there? I think there's a Miss Tactics show later today, right? She doesn't care about football. She's gonna do her show during France-Germany. Is that possible? I still do think that she's called Miss Tactics because she does miss a lot of tactics, but probably that is not the true origin of that name. As for the game, things have proceeded according to plan, with me grabbing as many of these queenside pawns as I can. So does this have any potential missed tactics? No. Seems to be. Alright, b5 is covered. Knight c2 would break the connection between this rook and this knight, so I would be able to go rook a2. Or... nah, I'd probably go rook a2, let's face it. It's another pawn. Ambitious pawn needs to get a black dishwasher. I'm not sure if that's some inside joke. I do own a black dishwasher and a black washing machine. E6. I could just take on e6, I guess. I'll take here. Yeah, the position is pretty much winning now. Rook e8, bishop e5 doesn't really seem to get me anywhere. So I'll take another pawn. What's wrong with taking another pawn? Wondering if I've drifted a bit here. I think I'm still more or less winning, but yeah, rook a1, I am temporarily pinned, which is not ideal. I'll give a check just to make this bishop go to e5 so it can't bother me with bishop e6 later. And I guess I should just start pushing my pawns. Why worry about subtleties if you can just push your pawns up the board? Knight c3. Looks good enough, but no, somehow I prefer this. So I can keep rolling. c3, bishop d6, probably no immediate material gains there. So let's bring the little brother in. I was gonna play b4, but then as bishop takes b4. Once again, no real need for complications. I have too many passed pawns, so I'll keep it simple. Go rook a4, knight c3. And the win will ripen in its own accord. Does that make any sense? I read it somewhere. It sounded smart. This is very much over. And 000 versus 000 adds another 0 to his collection. Sorry about that. I believe I have to do what I announced earlier and go for a little coffee digestion break, I'm gonna call it. Be back with you guys, and normally I need 1 hour 20 seconds. No, 1 minute 20 seconds. Even though I once locked myself out, there was 1 hour 20 minutes. But I'll be back in a second. See you then, or not. I didn't stop the time. I hope I did stick to my announced 1 hour. Why do I keep saying that? 1 minute, 20-second break. And we can continue the show with... Yeah, I lost quite some weight in the last minute. That's all the detail I'm willing to get into. Whom do I play? That is always a tough question. You know what? I'll play someone I've already played because I feel I've been overdoing this Let's Play noobs. And it's unfair to the guys who have been around for a while. Nah, you can never please anybody. But I'll play Chicago Dave, whom I used to think was from the Netherlands, but then I saw this flag and I'm wondering how he feels about Dwayne Wade at age 34 joining his lovely city for 23.5 million per year. He does play the Rui Lopez, and who can blame him? That is a pretty good opening. Queen e2, what kind of move is that? I've never studied Queen e2 in this particular position. I'll try to get my pieces out. What could be wrong with that? Rook d1, looks like he wants to get in very fast d4. Do I want to fight against that? I could go bishop g4. And yeah, I will. I'm trying to stop him from doing so. And he says, just kidding. I'm happy with going d3 now. Not sure how I'm supposed to play this though. Yeah, I'll go here, just so I don't have to worry about stuff anymore. I'll go here. Bishop g5 could be a bit of a problem, but I don't think it's a big problem. Here, all my moves, I'm aware, look very passive, but I've seen similar stuff. If I'm allowed to go king h8 followed by f5, I should be doing pretty well. Slightly concerned about bishop f7 here, frankly. Have I overdone it? I'm gonna have to... Goes g4 directed against f5, but now I have to be okay somehow. How do I do this? h6 or f6? Go h6. It's a 3-minute game, so I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit. And the speeding up has just begun. Some weaknesses around his king now, which is good. Still, white has the 2 bishops, and these weaknesses are by no means fatal yet. He's trying to put his knight on g3. Very sensible idea. Queen h1. That is asking me to open the position, and I shall oblige. Chicago Dave hasn't spent a second yet, it feels like, blitzing out all his moves here. I'm an old man, as we've discussed earlier. Give me a little thinking break every now and then. Doesn't look like Chicago Dave is having any of that. Alright, then we continue blitzing out random moves and see where that takes us. I'm not sure if I'm better or worse or neither. Probably neither, but I have to be a little careful. And this constant pre-moving is getting to me. Okay, I'll make a pseudo-active move. See how it goes. Maybe it's gonna make him think for a second. Rook d6, 95, and we'll see what happens. Hmm. 95 anyway. Really not into thinking, Chicago Dave. Maybe that's his game plan. This guy Jan is a flagger, so I'm gonna have to flag the flagger. Maybe not a bad game plan. Between you and me. d2 is a legal move. Ah, that's his plan. Did not expect that. Thought he wanted to go g5, try to checkmate me. I didn't think I was getting checkmated. But now I was hoping that his king would turn out to be weaker than mine. Still a sharp position, so I have to be cautious. But that's my middle name, Caution. throwing caution to the wind. That's what they did to me. Don't really want to play an endgame, but I'm gonna if I have to. Should be winning. I'm a pawn up, and I have a very active rook on a3. One worry is my king. What was that? Why didn't I take on a2 first? That's ridiculous. Well, what to do? Should still be winning. I don't think he's in time to checkmate me with this operation, which I had anticipated. Well, I did take a bunch of pawns over the last couple of moves. And the initial speed has also, he hasn't managed to keep up with that insane tempo he went. Still, very interesting game against Chicago Dave. And you can see I'm not at my sharpest because I didn't take a pawn with check. Probably the first time in my long and depressing chess career that I did not capture a pawn with check here after rook d8. Can take this. Not sure I'll forgive myself for that. Anyway, thanks for the game, Chicago Dave. Let's play somebody else there. Back to the noobs. I'll play String Slinger. From Norway. Bunch of Norwegians around. I'm hearing chess is quite popular there. They have this young talent who's popularized chess single-handedly. Of course, I am talking about the great Jean-Louis Hammer. Maybe String Slinger is not there. Maybe it's not that popular anymore. Maybe he did fall asleep. Or I don't know what he's doing. Start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Aborto. Sorry, String Slinger. Who else is here? Any fresh blood? Let's play... Oh, disappeared. Sometimes names just disappear from my screen, which is good because it means I have a long list of challenges that keeps updating. That's really jumpy. I'll play Virel. Looks like I've never played Virel. It's possible that Slinger did not make it. What about Virel? From Mexico. Virel, isn't that a Moldovan name? Probably not. The only Virel I know is Virel Bologan. Might have changed his name to Victor, but I think he used to be called Virel. Let me know. I'm very uneducated. Yeah, I don't need to follow up with that sentence. It holds true for most things. But looks like Virel is not around either, so the countdown starting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Abort. Sorry, Virel. This would be a fun show if just guys challenge me and then they're not there. And we do this for an hour. What is this? Oh, I misclicked, but it's your lucky day, whomever I misclicked on. Didn't mean to do that. Gouadash 1996. Weird list, really. It's moving very fast. Too fast for me. And will we conclude our trifecta of guys who aren't around? Our trilogy. Could be the dullest trilogy since Sharknado if I have to abort 3 games in a row. No, there is Gouadash, whom I think I played recently, maybe even last show. Normally, I don't do that, but of course, if I click on somebody, I'll follow through with it. I've played the Sicilian and I'll play the Khan. Don't like it that much. I used to play it more, but c4 bothered me. g3, believe it or not, gets me out of book already. d5 looks like a logical reaction since he hasn't played knight c3 yet. Gouadash. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, by the way. Blitz is out ed, but I don't like ed because now after queen d5, it's a little awkward to parry the threat of queen takes h1. So I believe after d5, bishop g2 or knight c3, probably bishop g2 were more natural moves. White probably has to go knight f3 now, but then queen f3 is not a good idea. But after knight f3, the endgame would be quite pleasant for me. Well, now I'm just a piece up. That escalated quickly, Anchorman style. I've mentioned this many times before, but yeah, normally I'm not a big fan of guys asking me in chat to please play them. I'm assuming that everybody who challenged me wants to play, and yeah, it's not gonna help chances all that much, no matter what language, to ask me in chat to play, because as much as I'd like to play everybody, not gonna be able to do it, and I like to be able to choose myself. Here I like to be able to be a piece up. Was that a sensible sentence construction? Probably not, but what can you expect at such late hours? Nah, 6 p.m. is not very late for me. Don't tell anybody, but I normally don't show up to work very early, which in part is based on that, yeah, whenever there's chess tournaments and live commentary, it's normally kind of late. And partly it's based on the fact that I'm not much of a morning person. So yeah, 6 p.m. is not very late, but I'll be out of the office after this because I gotta watch football. Probably the first... Nah, it's probably not the first time I've ever said this. Probably not the last time either. But it's not a regular thing. Like, even now during the Euro, I've spent 10 times the amount of time on listening to NBA free agency podcasts and popular takes. Is Durant a coward? Is he cheating his way to a title? I disagree with all of those things. I'm very happy with his decision. How did I start that sentence? I've spent way more time on NBA free agency than on the Euros, but semifinals against France. Gotta get up for that one. As for the game, I'm a piece up. Gouadash has made natural moves ever since blundering that piece on move 7, but it's not gonna help his chances, and bishop c5 certainly doesn't help his chances, because now it's a piece and a rook. Sorry, Gouadash. Brings me back to the list. Very exciting part of the show, me scrolling through the list, randomly trying to decide whom to play next. I'll play Zimly. There's a little score thing here, which I used to find out if I played somebody before. It says my score against Zimly is 50-50. Did I draw you in the past, Zimly? Did I get very upset about it and the rest of the show was a mess? What happened there? I don't know. But let's rectify that situation and crush Zimly mercilessly this time around. This is a setup which... Did I promise to study it like 2 shows ago? I still haven't studied it. I kind of like it, but I believe I promised to study it a while back because I was always getting bad positions, even though I like the look of it. But I haven't done it. Queen a5 tells me he wants to put his queen on h5. Therefore, castling would be a little naive. I went a3 in order to meet queen h5 with h3, when it's not so clear what this queen is doing on h5 without any defined target. Still might be playable, especially with my knight on e2. It's not so easy to kick this queen away because g4 can always be met with queen h4, but it still struck me as a more sensible thing to do than to castle and allow this queen h5. But yeah, the position is still by no means clear or easy. Go d5, but I'm already having second thoughts. Maybe Zimly is gonna be my Angstgegner. Maybe he's figured out the secret how to play me. It's not really a secret. Don't blunder anything. Don't lose on time and you'll be in good shape. But Zimly seems to be tough for me to handle. Who would have thought? I couldn't think of anything better than going g4, even though this queen on h4 does bother me. It beat. My point is I want to go knight g3 and then put a knight on e4, hoping to annoy him, but he can create some quite active play with queen h4, maybe even followed by h5. Not clear at all. Not sure what he's thinking about. This seems to be the only move. Yeah. h5, I was intending to go bishop f3. Looks a little clumsy, but if he has to go hg, his queen won't have a good square. Else, there might be a time when, whatever, gh5 is a threat, but he's decided on a different, arguably better plan. Knight e8, intending to go f5. I can't allow that to happen, so I have to go e4. But that, of course, slightly disrupts my ideas of putting a knight on e4. Just slightly. Queen e7, I have a feeling it's time to switch plans and grab some space on the king side by going h4, hinting at h5. I don't like queen e7. I think he should have seized the chance to go bishop h6 and exchange his passive bishop. Because now it's a typical King's Indian position where I have a pretty good grip on the position. And easy play, just grab more space on the king side, g5, h5, bishop e3. Well, it's very hard for black to generate any kind of counterplay. f5 is pretty much off the table. And yeah, it's hard to come up with a plan. a6, b5 normally does not really help black or doesn't really work. And I can always stop it by going a6, a4, should I decide to. I probably won't decide to though. Nah, come on, Angstgegner is a word you can use in English. It's like Zeitnote and stuff like that. There's a bunch of German words that crept into the English language because there's no good English equivalent. It goes the other way around too. Like I'm trying to establish awkward as a German word because we don't have a good word for it in German. And I really can't go through life without saying awkward or without being awkward at least, like every 5-6 minutes. So that's a problem, but I believe Angstgegner is legit. It's like, yeah. Oh, some French talk in the chat. No French friends today. a6, he wants to go b5. Do I go b4 to stop that? Or a4? Or do I ignore it? Many decent options. Something is happening on my phone. What I dislike about b4 is if, let's say he goes b5, bc, dc, that then his knight gets a square on d6, which is not particularly pleasant. Another thing I could do is go bishop g4. Yeah, I like that. Switching to more direct attack. Often this pushing the pawns on the king side is more prophylactic than attacking, really. You're trying to stop black from gaining space there and starting an attack with f5. But here I thought after b5, maybe I can take, go queen g4, put my queen on h4, and actually ask some questions on the king side for a change. Like, what are you planning to do about hg followed by queen h7 checkmate? This seems to work well because the knight on e8 is really harming black's coordination quite a bit. Is it unprofessional to check my phone during the show? I guess it is. It's our friend Schachonski, whom you guys might know as Karpov's Putzfrau. I'll go to Schachonski's to watch the match. Yeah, this was my plan. Maybe queen h3 was smarter, not sure. No time for subtleties. hg might not be that devastating, actually, now that I think about it. fg. Followed by king f7, but he doesn't want to allow it, understandably. Goes bishop h8, hg, fg. Yeah, I'm regretting not having put my queen on h3. That looks like a better square. I can't see what to do, so I'll take here, just to get a quick thinking breather. And I'll play b4, which might look like an insane move, but it's sort of a typical device to stop counterplay on the queen side. His counterplay would be to push b4 himself. Well, now if he goes c4, let's say, my construction is extremely solid and there's not a lot black can do on the queen side. So I can refocus on somehow breaking through on the king side. I don't know how. Rook g1, maybe some knight f5. I'm very happy if he goes knight b6. Gives me the b5 pawn, so I won't go to any length to avoid that. Rook b7. I still don't really have a plan. I like my position, but I haven't figured out a way to break through. More attacking player would probably have figured out something with connected to knight f5 already. But Zimly can't handle the pressure anymore. The mounting pressure, and goes f6, which should lose on the spot because I have hg. When hg runs into queen h8 or fg, anything wins gh, bishop g5, doesn't really matter. So f6 accelerated the end. I like my position, but it was not an automatic win. Well, now it should be just... looking for the most merciless way to wrap this up. Yeah, this looks merciless enough. And Zimly resigns. Good game, Zimly. I believe that concludes our show for today. Thank you guys for watching. Let's do my favorite segment called I'm Sorry. What am I sorry for today? Nah, I got nothing. Sorry for being so whiny after losing a game. Sorry for dressing Hans Meiser style, as we call it in Germany, which is a shirt and some weird old jacket and jeans. Sort of, yeah, worst of both worlds. You're trying, oh, I'm dressed formally, but I'm still cool and hip, so I don't wear a full suit. And yeah, it's not a style I really like, but I still use it a lot because it's somewhat more comfortable than go full suit. So I'm very sorry about that. I'm sorry for our French friends that they're gonna get kicked out of the Euros tonight. I am sorry for the lack of movie information and TV show information in today's show. I'm sorry that I didn't come up with anything special for show number 40. I'm very sorry for not interacting with the chat as much as... I was gonna say as I would like to, but I wouldn't really like to. Yeah. I'm sorry that I have to go now and can't come up with any more things I'm sorry about. Go premium if you haven't already, so you can partake in all this great fun. Sometimes I even lose, as today, which I'm still annoyed about. I'll be steaming the rest of the night. Anyway, let's go watch football. Thank you guys for watching this show. See you around. Even though probably not that soon, because I'll be recording with Dvoretsky the next couple of days. Might not find time to Banter Blitz. Later.